Hello my loyal friends! This video is for all of you that play solo rank and want to learn the only 7 rules you need to become Mythic. Playing solo rank is quite different from playing with friends where you can count on. That's why I want to share with you some basic rules to increase your win rates. So let's get started! Okay, so the first one is about the picking stage of the match. The rule you need to remember is analyze the players of your team and the enemies and choose accordingly. And yes, I know this is the most boring part, but you definitely need to understand a few things about it. Always start to check which kind of heroes your allies play, because this information is crucial when playing solo rank. By analyzing this data, you can predict what kind of heroes your allies might choose, so you can choose accordingly. The goal is to build a balanced team, which consists of a tank, fighter, marksman, mage and an assassin who plays as a jungler, for example. Make sure your team don't consist of like 2 marksmen or no tank, because such a team has a big chance of losing the match before we even get started. I want you to check if there's any role your allies don't play, because that will probably be the role you need to fulfill. It therefore is really important you learn to play at least 1 or 2 heroes for each role, so you can adjust accordingly to the needs of the team. Then we have the banning, which is quite simple. Just ban the meta heroes. If you don't know which are the meta heroes at the moment, I highly suggest you check out my most recent video about the best heroes, which I publish on a monthly basis. If you're a bit more experienced player and have a good amount of different heroes, you can try to counter the heroes of the enemy team. This is one of the best ways to have a great head start. You can, for example, choose Basha if the enemy team has a lot of healing heroes. Or maybe you want to play Odette if the enemy has no CC skills. Or Franco if their mobility sucks. I try to provide you information through my videos about which hero is strong against which kinds, so hopefully you've learned this already. Then we have the type of players that only play one certain role or hero. While this annoys the shit out of me, the best thing you can do is just let them play that certain hero. They probably are quite experienced with it, and there's a good chance they choose that hero despite what hero you and your allies choose. Then we have the second rule, and this one reads: invest your time in early game to farm as much gold as possible. And I have a few useful tricks you should utilize. You have to try to stay at your lane as long as possible to obtain the maximum amount of gold. So take note of the following 2 words. Never die. You really can't die in early game, because this is a big setback in the amount of gold you can obtain. Also, recalling is a waste of time, so try to minimize it. A great way to increase your sustainability in early game is to buy the small lifesteal or spell vamp item, if your hero can make use of it. I almost always buy the small lifesteal item as first item, since it helps to recover a few hundred HP for each minion wave. You also want to use the healing spell whenever possible. As long as you've lost some HP, you can cast it again faster. Another thing that helps you big time is last hitting the minions. You get 30% more gold when you deal the last blow, compared to it getting killed by another minion. Then we have the jungle monsters. If you play at one of the lanes with a hero that can kill the jungle monsters quite well, you can use the time of waiting between waves to kill a jungle monster and obtain extra gold. But make sure you don't steal the monsters from the jungler, since he needs to farm too. Only do this when your jungler is far away. By utilizing these tips, you can obtain gold at the most efficient way as possible. I made a separate guide about how to jungle on the most efficient way as possible. Also check this out if you want to optimize your jungle skills. Then we have the third rule you need to remember. Monitor the performance of the enemies. And let me explain why this is so important. By opening the menu, you see which level the heroes are, which items they bought, and most importantly, what amount of gold they obtained. Like in this situation, you see that Farsa is level 6 and almost has 3k gold, which is almost the same as I have. This means she has more or less the same power as I do, and therefore I should be careful against her. But we also see Zesk and Johnson have like 60% of the amount of gold I have. This means when I meet one of them in a 1 vs 1 situation, I already know there's a good chance I might defeat them. This information is crucial to determine if you can better fight or flee. Check this now and then, because the ranks may differ from time to time during the match. A bit later during the match, you can still use this trick, but also analyze the items of the enemies choose. So for example, you play Uranus, which benefits a lot from healing, and they have one enemy who uses one of the anti-heal items. This way you know that you're a lot weaker when the certain hero is nearby. It also helps to check which kind of defense the tank builds. If you play a marksman and the tank has a lot of physical defense items, you better don't attack the tank, but let the mage heroes destroy him. It are really this kind of tricks that are so valuable for a solo rank player. Let's continue to rule number 4, which says keep your eye on the minimap. I hope I don't have to tell you, but the minimap is the most valuable information source when playing a match. The match doesn't happen only in your sight, but it's played all over the map, and your minimap shows you this. I want you to follow the rule to look at least once every 5 seconds on the minimap, to have an idea where your allies, and more importantly, the enemies are. If you get ganked often and get killed, I highly suggest to check the minimap more often. This way you can analyze where the heroes are and notice it when one or more of them are missing. If there are 2 enemies killed and you see only 2 other ones at the map, you know that there's one missing. At this point you should be a bit more careful until you've seen that hero on the map again. It might also help to know that it takes about 20 seconds from the moment the enemy spawns until walking towards the outer turret. This always helps me to calculate when the killed hero will return on his lane. Then the minimap also shows you when your allies are ganking at your lane or the other lane. If they're underway to your lane, you should try to lure the enemy hero towards your turret to increase the chance of a successful gank. If you play on one of the side lanes and the hero at the mid lane is ganking the other side lane, you can go to the mid lane after clearing your minions. This way you can clear the minion wave if the mid hero isn't able to, which has 2 benefits. Firstly, you can add some extra gold that otherwise be wasted. And the second reason is to protect the turret from being hit. If you watched my video about 25 tricks in Mobile Legends, you also know how to use your minimap to hear if the enemies are killing the turtle, lord or a certain jungle monster. If you haven't already, definitely watch this video after this one. I'll leave a link in the description or you can click on it in the end screen. The next rule is kind of combined with the previous one. Keep communicating to keep your allies informed. Your allies also have a minimap, but they can't see everything. That's why you need to communicate information they might not notice, which can help them prevent getting killed, for example. You have 3 pink buttons over here which can be reached easily to tell your team to attack, gather or retreat. It's also possible to drag the buttons to a location on the map to inform your allies to retreat if there are enemies approaching, for example. Another way to help communicate is the quick chat, which is the lower button. You have 7 different texts that can be used quickly, and if you scroll down, you have another 8 to help you communicate. It's possible to choose from a variety of different quick chats via the home screen. Go to preparation and then quick chat to set the ones you like. Things like on my way and enemies missing are quite useful to inform your allies quickly. Another thing you should definitely do is telling your allies when there are 4 or 5 heroes at a certain lane. If you get ganked and killed by, let's say, 4 enemies, it means only one of them is at the other lane. Just tell there are 4 of them at the bottom lane, so your allies know they might use this opportunity to take out the turret. It are really this kind of small signals that can make a huge difference if you have some smart allies. Rule number 6, which is so important when playing solo rank, is never trust any ally or you'll get disappointed. This is something I learned the hard way. A lot of times I just died for nothing because I thought I would be smart to try to save an ally, but I couldn't be more wrong. There's a good chance that helping your ally won't result in that ally helping you in a similar situation. Unfortunately, the most players just want a good performance for themselves instead of their team, which leads to a less effective team. Therefore, you have to remember that you can't count on your ally, so you don't get disappointed and mad after they didn't help you. Since I live by this rule, it made it so much easier and I die way less than before. Of course, this is different when you play with trustworthy friends, but we are here to make you better in solo rank. Then the very last rule, which might be an obvious one, but unfortunately isn't, focus on objectives instead of kills. I know for sure that you also have those matches when you see great opportunities to get a turret down and instead some random player is chasing a kill. This happens so much when you pay attention to it. I understand that it's way more fun to make kills, but when you play ranked, the main focus is winning the match. Map awareness is important for this rule, so if you analyze the map carefully, you can easily find opportunities to take down some turrets. It's even more important to kill the turtle and lord, since it adds a lot of gold and XP to your team. If 3 out of 5 enemies are killed and you have some heroes with great DPS, it only takes a few seconds to take out the turtle. The lord is a bit harder, but definitely worth it, so try to kill this big guy whenever a few heroes are killed. If you play a hero with low DPS, like a tank, support hero or high burst damage hero, it might be a wiser choice to just hide in a bush and attack any enemy to defend the lord. This is especially true when there are still enemies alive, because you don't want to get it stolen by them. In late game, to win the match, you just simply win a teamfight and then decide if it makes more sense to rush to their base or take down the lord. If there's just a small chance you can attack the base, I suggest you take it and try to end it. Also, the inner turrets are a big objective, since after destroying it, you will spawn super minions, which are a lot stronger than the normal ones. It really depends on the situation to determine if it's better to kill the lord or attack the inner turrets or base. These were the 7 rules you need to follow to become a godly solo rank player, and I hope you enjoyed it and, more importantly, learned something. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll be seeing you again in the next guide.